Hey Brian, how are you? Yeah, no, I was thinking, so obviously I know we've worked at Strictly and stuff together, but I've just started back at performance class, and I was really worried because I know Claire, I said to you, I was really worried because I felt I was a bit old, and I was like, oh, I'm going to look like a granny with everyone. But how would you say to like, and I worry about that with like going to class as well. And how would you say, what do you have any advice about just getting over that fear of going to class, or even just going for that audition, or just any advice on that sort of front, if that makes sense?
I think the first thing you've got to think of is you're going to the class for you because it's something you enjoy. It's whether it's helping your mental well-being or just because you want to keep fit or whatever the reason is. So you've always got to remember going to class, no matter what age you are, what ability you are, you're going for yourself. I mean, the fact you're in performance class is because you're very talented and you can dance and perform. So that's why you're there.
Okay.
When it comes
Ooh, do you have a date, Brian?
When you auditions are slightly different, but the target is the same. You're there because you want the job. So you've just got to go in and think, I just sell it. I believe I am right for this job. Pick me and just give it your all. That's all you can do. But on the contrary to that, if you get cut, then you've just got to learn to take it on the chin. Because I was thinking about this earlier, and one of my really early on in my career, I was auditioning for a show in the West End, got cut quite early on, but off the back of that, got approached from another casting person who was on the panel, and then ended up doing a ship, my first cruise, which years ago ships were seen as like a bit of a no-no. Now it's like great. It's a huge part of the so you just never know who's watching. Do you know what I mean? Who's on the panel? And sometimes opportunities arise from other opportunities. So just just go for it. Have fun.
Alicia, you are next on my screen. Have you got a question for Brian?
I was just going to ask, where are you from?
Originally from Aberdeen, and then I moved to London in 1998 when I went to East 15, which is a drama school in London. And I'm still in London.
Evie, Bethan and Evie, have you got a question each?
We have a question together. Our question is, what has been your favourite performance that you've done with Performance Company over the years?
Good question.
Ooh, good question. I don't know, there's been a few that have stood out for different reasons. I think really early on, I think the first ever one we did with Performance Company, which before Claire was doing it and Roy was actually running it, was Proud Mary. And obviously that was like such a good number. And obviously it was the first time it's Strictly that we worked together. So obviously that was
that's a highlight.
It's a good highlight. But then moving on, there's been different things. Like I think when we did Uptown Funk, I think because we got the fire that year, it was really like, totally felt like we were on top of the pops. Although you guys wouldn't know what that is because you're all too young. But us oldies know what it was. Proper felt like we were in a big, big, big show. But I also really liked the Robbie Williams number because I couldn't believe all you guys were lifting me up. Yeah, there's so many. I think because we've done a real mix of genres, both the style of dance and the songs, there's something from them all that I quite enjoy. And it's a good challenge. Half the time I'm doing more dancing in those than I've done for the whole year. So keeps me on my toes. Yeah.
Yeah. What has been your favourite thing that you've done, like performance-wise?
Depends on what genre. I mean, I think musical theatre-wise, it was probably Godspell because I played Jesus and I got nominated for an Off West End award, which was really nice. And I went into that audition just auditioning for ensemble. So to then get the lead role was like blew my mind. So that was good. Acting wise, there's a few different projects. A play that I did a few years ago called Broken was a really good piece. It's just a two-hander. I've never done a two-hander before. It's just two people in the whole show. So it was quite intense. Never stopped speaking for a few hours, but it was a great piece. And then filming wise, I did a little short film actually this last year, which was quite a challenge for me because there was no dialogue for the whole film, other than speaking along with a recording that the character was obsessed with. So that I quite enjoyed that because there was a whole array of emotion that I had to display with no dialogue. So it was a good challenge. So yeah, it's called The Mark.
So Keely found a little bit of video, and it was really, really cool. And it was like, I think it was black and white. Nod if I'm right, girls. And what Scott?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was very serious drama, and I think it might have been the thing that you were just talking about. Is it The Mark?
Thieves Peter Allen and Gwyn Evans were sentenced to hang for his murder.
So
That
is me.
was sent to strange ways. He would have been kept in a condemned cell with 2 officers guarding him 24 hours a day. He would have exercise, he would have physicians.
It's Brian!
Hello, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Good. So yeah, I was watching it. Me and my mum were sitting on. It was ages ago. It must have been about a year ago, and it was on Channel 5 or something. And I love like crime documentaries and that. And I was like, wait, hold on, is that Brian? And then we were like watching it and seeing. But I was just wondering like how you got into that. Like, did you like just see an audition and go for it, or how did you get into it?
I mean, I went to East 15. East 15 is like a proper drama college. We only really used to do singing and dancing for a couple of hours a week. The majority of it was acting. When I first left drama school, my first project was at the Belgrade Theatre in Coventry doing Shakespeare in Midsummer Night's Dream. So I think through my 20s, I was probably just, because I signed with a musical theatre agent more than like a theatre agent, I did a lot of theatre. But then when I came into my 30s, even though I took a bit of a time out because I was having my kids, I signed with a new agent. So I've got a proper acting agent now, which is, so just submitted it, I went for an audition for that actually. And then, got cast. But if you've seen it, the funny thing is you'll realise that I played both the parts, because it's only a really quick scene when the victim is like slower, but the other actor was, I don't know what happened to him, and they were like, will you do it? And I was like, yeah, it's fine, just lie on the floor for half an hour or whatever. But the fact that the killer and the victim is a bit silly. But hey,
and she found it.
But auditioning right now for anything in telly or film, like my agent sent me a thing today and I need to do a self-tape. So self-tapes, I think, are going to be around for a long time. I mean, it's not a new thing. It's happened before. But it used to be more like if someone was casting in America and you were in the UK, they'd say, right, well, we'll get you to send a self-tape. They would send you the script, you would film it, send it back, and then they would take it further forward. But now we're in the world of COVID. We are in the world of self-tape. And I do think it's going to continue because it just cuts out the traveling, the hiring of the space, blah, blah, blah. I think initially for a first round, see those 50 actors or whatever, narrow it down to the 10 you most like, and then maybe meet them face to face in the future. But so yeah, I just auditioned for it and that was it. Hopefully more will come.
I think the best part of that video is Keely going, it's Brian! That's Brian!
And my mum didn't believe me. I was like, do you know Brian who dances with us at Strictly and that? And she's like, no, that's not Brian, that's not.
Yes, it was me.
It was very interesting.
Good. Thank you, Keely. It was so good that you found that last week. Eleanor, Eleanor, you've never worked with Brian before. So have you got a
company?
Brian?
Yeah, I was just wondering, because obviously I've like not really done a lot with you. Like, how did you end up like becoming a patron at TFX? So obviously you've done stuff with them before. So how did you end up becoming like a patron?
Well, I first got involved in TFX way back in the early days. So back in 2004, I think it was, or 2005, around about that time, I just came off of a ship, and Sally was part of Team Entertainment, who used to do the pantos at Eden Court in Inverness, and they also used to do the Brunton in Musselburgh in Edinburgh. And I think there was a few other over the time. But I just auditioned, got off the ship, auditioned for that, and got cast. So then a few of us, really in the early days, just came in and started doing some bits at TFX, just like a bit of a workshop or a meet and greet. To be honest, I can't fully remember it, but it was quite a long time ago. But after that, Sally and I became good friends, and I just kept coming back and doing various bits. And then over the years, doing some workshops. Whenever I'm in Inverness, I would try and pop in, and then was really keen when we started doing Strictly to get you guys on board, just because I thought it needed a bit of a bigger number. So I was like, well, I know the perfect people, and then that was it. And then I think over the time, Sally's thought, why not have a little old me as a patron? So that's it, really.
I think it's lovely, Brian, because I mean, especially the ones, all of you that I've got on my screen just now, I mean, they've probably done the most with you. I mean, when you started Performance Company, you had like a few years with that kind of group, and then I think because like Keely and Alicia especially, they started quite young with Performance Company, so you've kind of seen them like kind of grow through Performance Company and get to know them so well. So I think to have you as a patron, they'd probably, if they had any questions about stuff like this kind of thing tonight, it seems it's very natural to talk to you, because they know you so well.
Yeah, like I remember doing, I think it was We Will Rock You, or no, Let Me Entertain You. That was it. Always get that mixed up. I remember doing Let Me Entertain You was one of our first ones that we did with you, and then we've done so many more throughout the years. But I vividly remember doing Let Me Entertain You, and it was really good, lifting you up in the air.
Can't believe that. Listen, I mean, we can like after this, by any time, if you've ever got any questions, as long as it's through the right people. I mean, I don't want anyone into trouble, but if you go through Megan or Claire, and if you've ever got any questions or you want to send me an email or whatever, as long as you go through the right people, I'm happy to offer advice at any time. I mean, I know that so many of you are getting to that age where you're starting to think if you'd like to do it professionally or go to college, or maybe you're thinking of just other things like, I'm really good at dance, but I'm not so good at singing or acting. What could I maybe try and do? I mean, absolutely anything. Or if some of you are going to spread your wings and try and capitalize on some of the opportunities that are out there now, whether you find an audition or a casting online or something, and you're like, oh, I'd love to go for that, but I'm not quite sure what to do. By all means, you can get in touch. I mean, I don't know everything, but I will absolutely advise you and help you and point you in the right direction to someone who maybe can help better if I don't know, and would happily offer advice to anyone.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so we've got Emma, who's also one of our new Performance Company. Have you got a question, Emma?
Yeah. What was your highlight of your career?
Ooh, a highlight of your career so far.
Oh, wow. Highlight of my career. I guess the most recognition I probably got was from Godspell. So that would probably be quite a big highlight. What else? Yeah, let's say that.
Perfect. There's always different ones, isn't there, every time? Sometimes it's just like I got that pirouette way better than yesterday. That's a highlight. Highlight of the week.
There's some different jobs for different reasons. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Ria, have you got a question?
I was just going to ask, like, what helped or is helping you stay motivated during lockdown?
Oh, good question.
I'm not going to lie, it's really challenging. Like, a lot of you guys are doing homeschooling online. It's really, really tough. I think at the start of lockdown last year, I was just like, right, DIY in my house. That was like passing some time. I was still applying for various little bits online and stuff. And then I did hit a bit of a like, oh, I'm just over this now, and just did really lose motivation like a lot of people did. And then I think over the summer when I got a bit of freedom again, I was like, right, the start of this year, last year, I was determined to really focus on getting some more art and work and stuff again anyway. So I was like, just need to kick myself up a bum and focus on it. So I just sort of said, right, I'm going to start working out again, keeping fit, started doing some little online dance things that Claire was doing, some other people, making sure I was singing loads, because when I hadn't sung for a few months, like I was just like, whoa, this is strange. It was just strange again. I was like, I think I'm getting nodules, I'm getting paranoid, like, because it's a muscle. Do you know what I mean? And if it's out of shape and you don't use it for a long time, you need to build up that stamina again. So I was just like, right, I need to really keep singing. And then I just started reading loads, like scripts. And then I have like my own little theatre company in Aberdeen. So we were meeting on like a Friday night on Zoom and just reading through old shows that we'd done. And that sort of came to an end naturally. And then now we're in lockdown again, we have started it again. But we're reading different material that I haven't written, like other people have written. So it's just been nice just to read different parts that I would never usually play. Sometimes I'm reading female parts for a laugh. But it's just good to keep active and keep performing, even if it's just a camera. It's better than not doing anything.
Yeah, good question. Rebecca?
I apologise. Shh.
Oh. Go on, Rebecca.
My question is, what do you enjoy most about performing in front of different crowds and people?
I think, like you guys all know, there's just something that's like a fire in you when you're in front of a live audience, particularly. I mean, it's different when you're on set with a film and stuff, because you've just got to trust that the director you're giving what they're asking for. But the buzz in front of a live audience is just, I almost can't explain it. It's like when you eat something really sweet or like a fire in your belly. It just makes you feel amazing. And then you come off and you've got that like buzz and you're just like, raw, I want to do it again. Like, it's just like a feeling of euphoria. And I think so many people who don't perform just don't understand it. Even if you've only done it in like a local dance school or whatever, if you get that feeling and that fire and drive to want to do it again, then you should be doing it. And so many people who don't are just like, I just don't get it. I'll be too scared. My nerves are, I don't know how you can do that. Like, but there's just, it's like an adrenaline. I'm like, yeah, come on, let's go.
Yeah, good question. I think for all of you, especially, like the first time that you get back to performing again all together with an audience, I'm sure that's going to be like a mixture of excitement, but also kind of butterflies that you've probably not had for a long time, because you got to a point where you were doing something like nearly every weekend at one point. It's kind of just second nature, that now going back to it, I mean, I know that I would be like, I had dreams about it, going, I can't remember what I'm doing on stage, can't remember what I taught the girls to dance, don't know what I'm doing. I think there'll be a kind of, and I think it'll also feel quite nice as well though, because you'll have that little buzz that you used to get that you maybe didn't remember anymore because you were getting so used to it. So hopefully hopefully we'll get back sometime this year. We'll get that kind of feeling again. Fingers crossed. Right, let's have Danielle.
Have you always wanted to be in musical theatre, or did you want to have like another career when you were younger?
This is performing on whatever level is all I've ever wanted to do. When I was at school, when it's in the early years of secondary school, I was a little bit naughty. I'm not like really bad, but I was a bit of a cheeky chap, and I just didn't really take it serious. And then when I got to third year and I chose my subjects, I was a bit like, right, you need to get a grip now. So I did work hard and I got decent enough grades. But all I kept saying was I want to be an actor, I want to perform. And the careers advisor back then, bearing in mind I'm an age, just would not take that serious. Do you know what I mean? They were like, no, you should probably, that could be something you do on the side, but you should maybe try doing this or that. And I was like, no, I want to go and audition for drama school in London. That's what I'm going to do. So none of the careers advisors really could help. But thankfully I had a really good drama teacher at my academy who was like, I'll help you, I'll support you all the way. And she really was the one that gave me the most advice. But now we live in a land of the internet, and you've got some amazing patrons who have got connections in the industry. So you would never be stuck for advice now, do you know what I mean? But back then, all I had was like a few little Amdram companies that I worked with, and like my drama teacher at school. The internet wasn't even around. The internet wasn't around.
I think
how old I am.
For a lot of you still, I mean, I don't know about all schools, but I think careers advisors, even with me, Brian, back then, I mean, it's still a lot longer than some of you now, but as careers advisors still don't see it as a career, and this lockdown and everything has not helped our situation with the whole, still having to go save the arts all the time. So I think for any of you lot that are thinking of it, or just maybe even if it's like a mini thought, they don't help the schools when they're like, oh no, pick something else. Don't pick something else. You can always, if it's not something that you go as soon as you leave school, you can always come back to it. But like Brian's saying, you've got us, you've got the patrons, you've got Brian, you've got other people that can go, look, if they're not going to tell you what to do, we'll give you a
Yeah.
Caitlin, have you got a question?
Yes. My question is, what is your most memorable audition experience, and if you've got any tips?
Ooh.
Memorable auditions, good and bad. So actually, I've got a really funny story I can share. It wasn't me personally, but it was a good friend of mine who was auditioning for Pippa Alien, who's a huge casting director in the West End. And he was auditioning for, I can't remember the show, but he was singing I Want to Break Free by Queen. And the only reason it's so memorable because I was next in the room and he came out literally about to cry. But he just went blank and he just sang, I want to go home, I want to go home, I want to go home, and just kept singing, I want to go home. So I was stood outside going, what is he singing? And he came out and was like, pure white. I thought he was going to cry. Turned out he was like, Brian, I just went blank. And all I kept singing was, I want to go home. I was like, well, at least you kept going. Most memorable auditions. You've just got to go in. Sometimes I've gone to auditions and gone, I'm really not right for this. But it's all experience. You can always learn. And it's always good to push yourself. Most memorable audition, probably one of my favourite auditions is for Starlight Express in Germany, which I just was like, I'm up against a lot of really good, proper, fully dance-trained boys. Don't stand a chance. Kept getting through. Then I got through to all the singing auditions. Again, I was up, at the time I didn't know I was up for a swing. And I was in a room with like some 6'2" guys that were built doing like the Elvis-y part, and I was like, why is little old me here? Do you know what I mean? But as it went on, I was up for a swing. So they were seeing that I could do the Elsie part. They were seeing that I could keep up with everything else. I mean, so that was one of those times when I was just like, I can't believe this is happening. Whoa, what's going on? You just got to think, well, they're seeing something in me, so just keep going, keep pushing forward. And I ended up getting offered that job and didn't do it, which was rather silly, I think. But what happened was, it was in Germany, and I was really young. I was only 22, 23, and they wanted me to swing in 8 parts. Now, I did German at school in a tiny little bit, and I was just having meltdowns. So I phoned my agent. I was like, I'm really amazed I've been offered it, but I'm not sure I can do it. And I was like sobbing, like petrified. I was like, if it was 1 part and I could learn it in German, I think it'd be okay. But to do 8 tracks, and bear in mind, I'd done an acting course, so I'd never been in like a full-blown musical like that professionally. I'd done it drum, but I was thinking, this is going to be a challenge for me learning 1 part. To try and learn 8, I just think at that point would have just been too much. And yeah, sometimes I regret it, because I think God knows what that opportunity could have went on to lead me to. But at the same time, I was like, at that point in my life, I think it was the right decision, because it would have just haunted me for the whole time. I don't think I would have enjoyed it at all, because I would have just been so scared.
Good question and good answer. Lots of stuff. Okay. I've got Iona. Did you ask a question, Iona?
Yes, I do.
Awesome.
At what age did you first start performing?
So when I was really young, there's loads of video footage of me jumping around, always singing, always dancing, always performing. I didn't actually get into anything until I was 11, 10 going on 11. And a drama school, it was the same drama teacher that helped me in the end. So I was 11, because I just started secondary school, or 12, whatever age it is. Yeah, 11, 12. She said to me, there's this great summer school in Aberdeen. Would you be interested in going? Blah, 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 blah. So I was like, yeah, because I'd been hounding my mum to go for a long time. But my mum's a single parent. We didn't have much money around. So just couldn't really afford it. So this teacher really sort of helped get a subsidised rate and get me a place. And that was it. It was like winning the golden ticket in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I was like, wow, people just singing and dancing and acting for a whole day. And it was like 6 weeks in the summer holidays, working sort of 10 till 4 or 10 till 5 every day. And then on the 6th week, we put on a show at the Arts Centre in Aberdeen. And it was, the minute it finished, I was like, devastated. I was just like, oh no, I don't want this to end. It was just amazing. And then off the back of that, I joined 2 different theatre companies that I'd met through people who were there, and that was it. And at one point in Aberdeen, I think I was in six different theatre companies, and then I started going to some dance classes as well. So it was pretty full on, 5 or 6 nights a week, but that's how much I just wanted to do it and loved it. I used to sleep with scripts under my pillow for all different shows, because I had a younger brother and sister, and it was the only place I could trust. Nothing would go missing, so I used to put them in my pillowcase and sleep under them, sleep on top of them.
Aww. Nice question, Iona.
So my question's like, what inspired you do you have anything that inspired you to start performing arts?
I don't think there was a specific thing inspired me. I just used to love the buzz of getting attention. I think from a really young age, I would be like, provoke a reaction. Liking people, making people laugh. I used to like to sing, dance. I just didn't care. And then I think when I first started secondary school, and then this one drama teacher was just, I just thought, she just gets it. Like, I get what she means. And yeah, she just really pushed me, and I was just like, right, this is what I want to do. And I don't know if she saw something in me that reminded her of her or what it was, but that was it. I was hooked.
Fab. And Ashley Green, if you want to unmute yourself. Thank you, Charlotte.
My question is, what have you missed most about performing?
Oh, that's a good question to end on.
What have
you missed
like
most? What have you missed?
Yeah, probably a bit like what we were saying earlier, that buzz and euphoria you get from that live audience experience. There's just nothing more powerful. Like whether it's something as loud and busy as Strictly to that a pin could drop moment in a two-hander play. It's the same feeling. Like it's just that sense of just being someone else, getting lost, and yeah, just the buzz. I've really missed it. Really missed it. I think at first, early on, it was like, oh, this is okay. It's a nice break. You can do things you hadn't planned to do before. But then there's just something inside you, and you're just like, you can't explain it. It's like a frustration that you just want to perform.
I thought of another question.
Yes, Kaylee?
I was wondering how you first heard of drag and how you first got into it.
Oh, good question. So it first happened in a musical. So I was in a play at the Edinburgh Fringe. It had a naughty name, so I wouldn't say what it was. But I was playing, it was actually a section more than a drag queen. And she was like a sex doctor. So that's how it happened. And then when I got back to London after doing that job, I was singing in a bar, just at a karaoke one night, and the people who owned the bar were like, "Oh, we love your voice. Would you do some singing?" I was like, "Yeah, well, actually, I do drag as well." Just totally chancing my luck. I don't even know what possessed me to sing. And they were like, "Amazing. We're looking for something like that." So like, yeah, we'll book you. Agreed some money, blah blah blah. And then the next thing they were like publicizing it everywhere, and I had like 2 weeks to get it all together, and I was like, oh my gosh, what have I done? But just threw myself into the deep end. It was different, obviously. When I'd done it in a play, it was all scripted. Now I was just throwing myself in front of a room of people waiting for me to perform, and I was like, oh, what am I doing? But just that same sort of buzz. I think there's something I like about that danger of not knowing what could happen. I think that's why I really love doing Strictly as well, because so much goes wrong, and like I've just got to keep it all right, and I've got people screaming in my ear most of the time, going, "Keep speaking, wardrobe malfunction, whatever it is." Someone's just been skipped to the next number, like that happened at last year's Strictly. The judge was like, "You've missed a contestant." I was like, no, we're now going to contestant 6. We'll get back to 5 later. I'll tell you why in a minute. It's those sort of, I kind of like that sense of danger. So that's how it started. And then off the back of that, the gig went really well. The local press in London picked up a story, and then off the back of that, more and more exposure came, and then more people booked me, and then that was it.
I never knew that. Keely.
From it haunts me. Yeah, I've just been casting this play to go on this year, but whether it'll go ahead, I don't know. But that's basically playing a drag queen again. I'm like,
fab. Bethan, did you have a question there?
I was just gonna say, I just found, where's the camera? This
from Belladrum.
Belladrum. That was from Belladrum.
Good. And have you always been the name Scarlett Diamante? Did you always have you had names?
When I was in the show, I was called Miss Venus Dumont.
Oh.
I don't even know where Scarlett came from, to be honest. I don't know if I just liked it or I'm not sure. And then Diamante was kind of a bit of an extension of Demont. It was a bit of a tribute to where it all started. So listen, guys, keep working really hard. I know it's tough times and it's frustrating, but but Claire and everybody at TFX is doing their best to try and give you the best you can. And if you are really looking to doing this professionally, then this is a time where you'll probably never get back. So do push yourself, keep yourself in good shape, keep stretching. If you sing, keep singing. If you're not a singer, start pushing yourself. Because I think if you are going into this industry, being able to do all three, whether you do them all amazing or as long as you can just do them a little bit, is going to stand you more stead than just being able to do one genre. Do you know what I mean? If you can just dance, that's great, but you are quite limited in what you can do. If you can dance and then sing a little bit, opens you to more opportunity. And then read scripts. Just film yourself doing a monologue. Pick it apart and then go, right, how could I do that better? Did I believe what that said? Those sort of things. And if MD wants any advice or wants to film self-tapes and send me them through TFX and let me know what you think, let me give you feedback or whatever, I'm happy to do it.
That's great. Thank you so much, Brian.
It's okay. It's lovely to see you. Even though my little
nice to see you.
I see all my wrinkles now.
It was so good. It's just nice. I mean, none of us expected to be back on kind of doing Zoom, but we're doing our best with the classes and it's going well. But to actually have something like this to sit down, like we miss a wee chat, we performance class chat. So to have you involved as well, which is really good. So it's nice to catch up with you.
Well, it's been a pleasure to see you all. And I know those of you who've just joined Performance Company haven't really experienced what it's all about. But when you can get back to it, you are in for a treat. So hopefully, like Claire said, we get back sooner rather than later. And if anybody needs me, then just let Megan know and I'll happily assist in any way I can.